Open PGA DFS show here on the Ship It Nation YouTube station. Do us a favor on the way in, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot more content coming your way because NFL just around the corner. We still got MLB, MMA, NASCAR, bunch of other stuff going on. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Got my guy Hoopster here with me as always. Got an interesting week ahead. There's lots to talk about here. So Hoop, bring you in, man. We'll get right to it. The Open, British Open, as some used to call it or still do. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Yeah, excited to be here. Excited to break it all down. We get to, the last major, and then, the next time we're going to see a field this strong, I think, is probably when the playoffs get started. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's fun to get all the live guys back in the mix, and a little bit different time slot as we talked about last week at the early golf for the folks here on this side of the pond, and it's a loaded field. We get all the big boys in it. Pricing. We'll go through it, kind of talk tier by tier, but excited to talk about it. And as always, some of the content's already dropping over at SHIPITNation.com. We got our Valley report already up and ready. Got our course fit rankings already up and ready to go. And, you'll start to see the rest of the stuff kind of get filled out here within the next couple of days. So excited to dive in here.
Yeah. Shout out the new ones first in today. Lots of good people here in the chat with us. Nate, Nick, B-Wald, Notes, M. Petrini, just lots of good people there. Oliver, appreciate you. Yeah, it was a nice weekend at the cottage with the family, so shout out to you for the support there. Thank you. And just everybody else there. Mark, my guy, been a minute. Nice to have you here. Jacob Stubbs, lots of good people out here in the chat. We'll keep it involved as we go throughout, but we'll show off the site here in a little bit. Definitely want to talk quickly because if you missed it, we have to clarify a few things. So Hoop and I did the NFL launch early bird show. Enough people watch this or will watch it on replay later on, so I just want to get ahead of it now. When we posted up the breakdown of everything and wanted to talk to people, and we said, you'd have 1 week, it was actually already printed on the site that it would expire August 5th from a previous graphic that we were doing for Shiptimizer launch, because that's when Shiptimizer launches. It starts on August 5th. So we're just going to go ahead and honor it. So if you weren't aware, and we'll just talk about this quickly, we broke it all down. NFL is coming back. I know this is a PGA golf show for a major, but to make it clear and upfront, we always do our marketing off the top and make it simple. The reason that still matters is because, for example, if you were thinking of signing up this week for PGA, but you were going to plan to sign up with us for NFL anyway, when you sign up for the $299 NFL package, you get NFL, you get Shiptimizer with NFL, and you actually get free all access. So a $99 a month value based on having the optimizer, having all the content, all of the sports for baseball, for MMA, for NASCAR. We're going to have other stuff going on soon too, but just to note that you'll get that. And then the CFB content that's coming free as well. So right now it's August 5th. This will expire where you can hop on, pay the $299, but Hoop, you talked about it for sure. And the benefit of signing up now, the sooner you sign up, the more action you get. Like this week, you get the major, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the main point behind all this is, we talked about it, and obviously we wanted to get our NFL product and packages out to the public as early as possible. But it's like, man, do we feel good taking someone's money early to mid-July, and then they have to just sit around and wait to get any value out of what they just purchased? And we're like, no, we're not going to do that. But we did want to get the package out early, get the word out there. So we came up with this idea where if you sign up for an NFL package, you get everything on our website for free leading up to NFL. And we're going to run it 1 week. And, like you said, we're going to just extend this thing through August 5th. And it makes decisions pretty damn easy. If you're thinking about signing up for PGA, but you want to come on board for NFL, just sign up for the NFL package. You get the open content for free this week. So that's going to beat any deal in the industry. I know other people are getting out some deals and trying to get people to sign up for their open championship content. Well, if you sign up for an NFL package now, some people, know in their head, I'm going to wait till NFL to sign up. There's no need to wait. You pay the money now, you get everything for free for essentially 2 months. So if you want our open championship content and you're thinking about signing up for NFL package here, it's just a no-brainer. Sign up now, get everything for free. MMA's this weekend. MLB will be back. All the PGA events leading up to NFL will be free. All the MLB slates leading up to NFL will be free. All the MMA slates leading up to NFL will be free. So, I mean, it just makes sense. We're excited to get this out there. We're excited for people to take advantage of it. A lot of people are taking advantage of it, and they're loving their investment so far. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on last week too. Like from the winner's circle, you talk about, or maybe it's the Shippers Square over here at SHIPIT Nation, but we got it. Like our guy Hebrew got his second FBWC seat. We had Jay Bannock won $30K in round 1, and then had a bunch more on Sunday as well. Won a King of the Desert seat. I saw also Shaloub had another huge week. Big Buckeye 9,100. Just going down through it, like Shaloub won 37K. Jay Bannock, that was the first 30K. I know he won more than that, 26,000 on Sunday. MC, $10,000. Hoop Showdown Core plus the Showdown Stone equals this. Look at that, 10K. Buckeye, this was in MLB.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The previous one, I just want to touch on that because that's kind of what we're all about. We don't want you to just come on and just, hey, I got to plug in the cores and I'm good to go. Like, that's just one piece of the content that we offer. We wanted to look at everything and take everything into account. And man, that's a great example of it right there. Taking my core, combining it with other pieces on the content, boom, $10,000 hit. Love seeing stuff like that.
Shout out to Monday. A lot of people, this Mega Milli, that's the thing that's been the nonstop, just consistent piece is like the Mega Milli this weekend. Shaloub has 10 tickets. Degenerate 75, our guy James won 2 just this past weekend. I got one in there. Monday got 2. Just a ton of members got these tickets. WS has like 4 or 5. It's just going to be packed full. There's James there. Another big win, Sky City with 5K. Two Hearted was the other one. He's got a ticket there. I think that's another one. Just a bunch of these big hits here that you're seeing the road. Title and myself. Talk about the other content. I loaded, it says right here, I wrote it to the chat. Loaded up content, built 2 lineups. I shipped a king of the bracket. There's only 64 seats available. All the top players in this. I'm just using Title and Big Marley stuff. That all comes included as well. So again, now's the time. We don't got to keep going through it. We'll show it to you. It's very easy. If you go to the site, you just click this banner at the top. It auto takes you into the promo, and then it will auto code you into the Discord and on the site to have access to everything we've got right now for PGA, Main and Showdown, all the MLB stuff when we get back from the All-Star break, MMA coming up again this weekend and all throughout until NFL starts. CFB starts, I believe, August 24th. We're going to meet on that with the team this week, but we are going to have all this coverage for you guys. NASCAR with our guy Eric out there. He's got all this stuff covered. And then other stuff's just on break right now. But just to note, when you go to join the nation, if you don't click that link at the top and you just go to single sport, you go down to football plus optimizer for the $349. You use code NFL50, and that will drop it to the $299 if you didn't click the link at the top. And then lastly, I will say this. If you're a PGA only,
that's what I was going to say. You read my mind.
Yeah, see, we're this is a key time though, Hoop. That's why I want to bring this up, and then we'll get done with the marketing well before the 10-minute mark. But if you're a PGA only member and you know you're going to be with us for NFL, but you know the major is kind of like your last hurrah, so I don't quite understand the other side's like sign up for the Open it's for 1 week. Like you can do that for $14 or for $19 with an optimizer. Then way cheaper than anywhere else, way more affordable and more valuable too, based on the screenshots we just showed you. But if you want to just get out of your monthly and you're going to buy the football, buy it anyway because it's $299 and you'll now have all access until it comes back anyway. So what if you just check in here or there, you still got the best price. You still got the access. There still is a bunch of playoff events. There still is the 3M, the Wyndham. There's still a ton of stuff for the Olympics where there can be some stuff there too. So lots of good coverage, even if you're just PGA only, to still get it all leading up to NFL, but not have to just pay for PGA monthly and be able to lock in that NFL deal as well. Anything else, Hoop, that you want to add before we get into this?
No, you nailed it all. But yeah, the one thing for sure is if you are a PGA only person and you think you're going to be with us for NFL, like now is the time to make that switch. And again, we would make more money if you stayed on for PGA all the way through and then let that expire and then signed up for NFL. We would make more as a business if you decided to do that, but we're looking out for our people. It makes sense for you. If you're PGA only and you know you're going to be sticking with us for NFL, make that switch now. It's going to save you basically 2 months of whatever you're paying for your PGA package.
Speaking of MMA, because Title won the King of the Bracket this week. I won King of the Bracket this week. And then GBot2 says, I won 3 of the first 14 tickets following the Stone in MMA. I'm maxed out now. There's only 64 seats, and it's the best players in DFS, in MMA DFS, fighting for these seats. And you can just go on and use the content. It's included as well. So, and it's all good, Ricky. We appreciate you. If you don't buy or you never buy, we always keep these shows free. There's going to be the same free shows you had for NFL last year. We're not changing our model when it comes to that. So you can always stick around, get some information from these shows. Our guy Courtney, testimonial right here. Shout out to Courtney, the best information every week. That's going to stay free. So you can keep on that and then sign up. And that's my guy, Gary. That's why I didn't know his name was G-Butt2 in the thing. Gary's the man. So shout out to Gary. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully get to see you at one of these events during the NFL season. I did hear, little birdie told me, which is sad news to me and my chance of getting a first place trophy, but I heard King of the Beach is going to be cut off this year, and it's just going to be King of the Desert, NFL and PGA, as well as the obvious FFWC, which is the big boy that we all want to get into anyway. So nothing else for me, Hoop. Let's talk about this Open, and let's start with weather. There is talks about the weather right now. Obviously, it's Scotland. It's windy. We're finally getting some of that stuff. Unlike last weekend, our guy Lee, who you talked about, who's got the value report free up on the site right now, talked about it not playing anything at all, like 2016, where 2016 was windy, crazy weather, different stuff coming in leading up to it. It was this year, he talked about it being a lot wetter out there, so we already thought we'd see some of that. Now the wind is picking up, the temperatures are still cold, but right now it looks like, honestly, to me, early, but just a take, like PM AM shows like a little bit of an angle just because Friday afternoon looks to get pretty wild. And then the other thing is Thursday morning is the coldest, only slightly, but the coldest temps of the week and a little bit windier. Thursday afternoon, little less windier, as high as the temps kind of can get on Thursday. And then on Friday morning, the temps are as good as Thursday afternoon, but with lower winds, and it doesn't get that much warmer Friday afternoon while the winds pick up heavily. So just, I don't know. I think you can do whatever. It's Scotland, it's golf, there's tons of stuff you can do, but that's one angle I would look at early on. Do you have any other thoughts there?
Yeah, similar mindset. I mean, again, I know I say the same thing every single week when we have this conversation, because there really hasn't been a distinct advantage recently where it's like you have to do this sort of, last year I think we saw a lot of that where it looked like there was going to be a big time weather advantage. Haven't seen a lot of that this year, and I think this week is the same thing. PM AM, maybe a slight advantage. If you like to do the wave stacks like you do naturally, I think it makes sense to do both sides that way. But in terms of a distinct advantage based on the weather, again, not seeing it. And I know I've said the same thing for a while here because we just really haven't had a lot of it this year.
Yes. And I also haven't seen it, to your point, I guess, where, what you always say, I like doing it. And even when we've seen like pretty good, like last week, I would say was a pretty good edge if you stack that wave, but then you still get a guy like Aaron Rye who gains 4 strokes putting on Sunday and creeps his way up to the top, and he's from the opposite wave. So you still can mix it and get away with it, especially because a lot of these guys can play in the wind, or they have that sort of skill set where it still helps them out. But if you're just looking for an angle or an edge, I got no problem with stacking waves, even if it's not full weather related. Obviously, the year that was the biggest wave edge was 2016, I believe. I think it was 2016 at Troon when it was like that crazy edge. And it was, not only was there that edge, but then you also had to have Stenson and Mickelson, who just crushed JB Holmes and the rest of the guys behind them on that leaderboard. So just something to note. It was nothing really to do to me with the course as much as the weather that year, but definitely think that's important going into it, just to keep that in mind. Watch it till the very end. Someone said it in the Discord too. Our content always goes up pretty early. The stuff stays the same. We get the initial projections out on Tuesday, the initial stone out on Tuesday, the ownership and all that stuff turns final on Wednesday. Well, the tournament starts earlier overseas like this. Your prep time doesn't really change as much, because like if you always build lineups at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can still get all the same content in. We're going a day earlier, but that's because as of now, at least we'll wait and see what happens. Haven't talked to him yet today, but saw him posted there in the Discord earlier. Our guy, Degenerate75, is supposed to be doing the emergency stream. He said he's 70-30 right now to the positive, so hope he's doing well. We're going to cheer for that. But just to know, we bumped the show up just so we could have him tomorrow, us today, get you guys some content a little bit earlier. The first look didn't make as much sense with the pricing being out for so long. We all kind of knew what was going on, and we'll get to the tiers here in a second. But just to say it, the prep time is kind of the same, Hoop. Like, it's just the tournament starts a lot earlier, and maybe it's a business decision where you have to stay up and wait for those late withdrawals. Now, usually not at a major, but just to note, that would be what changes versus your actual prep time.
Yeah. Last week's business decision was looking good for a while until it wasn't looking very good. It went, the business decision blew up rather quickly. It was looking good for a few, but man, that was a painful finish for JT. Oh man, that was it was looking good too. And it sucks too, because after all the talk on the show last week about JT, of course, my best team of the week, I had it in everything, the 555. It was a 6-6 with Ludwig and JT. Like, man, if JT just keeps it up, that team is probably, in contention to win. Yeah, the business decision last week, not very good. But what was the correlation to this week? I'm sorry, you got me distracted.
Oh, no, I did. Some people, even like Kim, just hit us up in the Discord, said it's false. She builds first thing Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Early. Some people do that. I'm just saying it's to each their own. It's you got to deal with what's put in front of you. I'm just trying to say it's not going to get the content out any sooner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to work on your schedule. It's not going to change anything. Yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of people, regardless of the slate they're playing, they'll build up to lock. Like the fact that it's at 2, 3 in the morning doesn't change anything versus 7 or 8 in the morning. You're going to do the same thing. You just,
you got to adapt and make it work for you. That's what we're all about. But I mean, our stuff will still be up usual time and plenty of time to get after it. So I think that's going to be the key sort of every event, but this is the last major of the season. So I get it, overseas, etc. But let's move on. Let's go into the next segment here. Just talk about these tiers real quick. And I'm just curious your thoughts on ownership, Hoop, because we got a almost 13,000 Scotty Scheffler. He's 12.8. They did bring us the 5K range. This is not a first look. We're jumping all around here, but just to say it, it's still interesting to me that I don't know, like early thoughts on ownership when it comes to these guys up top, because Scotty, I don't know, man, like it's 12.8. I've heard enough talk about you may not even need him if he wins, that people have said. It's all about what everybody else does, like just all kinds of stuff being mentioned. And I don't know if the ownership is going to get as high as we think on Scotty, being that people do love Rory, Xander, Bryson's been crushing it at these majors, all these guys down in the 9Ks too. So give me your thoughts on ownership here up at the top.
Yeah. I think he's a guy that could end up, walking it back a little bit. I mean, a lot of sites have him upper 20s, potentially 30. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more 23, 24, 25-ish when it's all said and done. It will differ depending on the contest that you're in. I think the higher stake stuff probably, it probably does hit the 30-ish range. But, the Millie Maker, $25 Millie Maker, would not be surprised if it comes down. You're looking at significant discount. I mean, $1,300 discount down to Bryson, $1,400 down to Rory, $16 down to Xander, and then a full $2,700 down to like Ludwig, who people like. Then people are going to like Morikawa, which is a $2,900 discount. And you can play them together, don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot of options here. And viable options. People are going to like Bryson because of how well he's played at the majors. People are going to like Rory because, the narrative of, shit in the bed at the U.S. Open, bouncing back, his side of town, like that sort of thing. Xander's just been great all year. John Rahm's one guy that probably doesn't get much ownership because it's been rough for him, but people are going to like Ludwig too. So, and Morikawa, like I said, so I could see it coming back a little bit. So I am in lockstep with you. But the one thing I will say with the 5K range, what it continues to do is you're taking guys that are typically in the 8Ks, they're now in the 7s. Guys that are typically in the 7K range, they're in the 6s, which just makes it easier to build teams. So at the end of the day, all these guys up here are going to get some degree of ownership, and that's what we're seeing in ownership projections. All these guys, besides Rahm, probably 20+% owned. So in order to make a stand, or in order to get overweight, you're going to have to do some stuff. You're going to have to maybe fade one of them. You're going to have to, build more stars and scrubs, that sort of thing. There are a lot of really, really standout values. And then, if you want to go from Scotty all the way down to John Daly, you're saving yourself $7,800. So there's that there too. That's
pretty good. That was a nice one there. And Nick, this is the thing. Maybe it's because I'm his business partner that I know this, but you almost have to pick up on this. I don't even think Hoop knew the JT until I brought it up, but I was like, if he's literally going in your tier rankings, that's how much you like this guy after all the shit you talked about him. Yeah. So it's more about finding it out, learning about Hoop, and knowing a little bit more as you go along. But I'll always try and bring it to the people. And Hoop, you brought up a good point there, just in that, we've brought up every time, but just to note it and jumping ahead for sure, like Sung Jae, 6,900. Adam Scott, 6,700. Louis, people like this week, is 6,800. Henley is 6,700. So all this did with this 5K range, as usual, at this major where it's such a strong field, is pump a bunch of really playable guys. So a lot of lineups I could see will definitely have 2 6K guys in it, no problem. And I just don't know if it still makes it Scotty be the guy. I think there's just so many combinations up there. And when I do the show with Mayo tomorrow, we'll do some of the roster construction and builds and see what people actually do. But the one interesting guy up top and just combining him into the 10K and above range is Morikawa. He is like every build, right? Like you can start with Morikawa, and I've seen it where you can get like Morikawa, Hatton, Fleetwood. Even if you think you're sneaky with the 3 9K guys, you can still do that. You can do Morikawa and someone else. You can do below him, or you can do Scotty Morikawa. You can do Rory Kawa. Remember I talked about these, Colin Rory Kawa, and you play Rory and McIlroy and Colin Morikawa together. You can do those. You can do Xander Morikawa. You can do Rom Morikawa. There's just a ton of different builds that involve him. So I think he's going to get extreme ownership in this spot. I think Hatton and Fleetwood still get ownership. And I'm not sure yet still, do you think Bryson actually crosses 20? Because you'd think based on the major results, but I just think people just love Rory. No matter what he does, they still love him. And then when you've got Xander, Ludwig below, and Scotty up top, it's one of the two. And I just have a hard time seeing Scotty get squeezed. So squeezed by that, I mean like 15 to 18%. But I could just see where Bryson is the one that ends up being less than Scotty, Rory, Xander, and the guys below him.
Yeah, but like what is less? Like probably like 18% or something maybe. I mean, he's still going to get some degree of ownership. I agree with you in the fact that he's the one that might have a chance to get a little bit more squeezed here and get under that 20%. Because I know Scheffler is going to be over 20. I know Rory's going to be over 20. I know Xander probably is going to be over 20. I could see Rory more than Scotty. I think that makes sense this week in terms of ownership. So it's going to be those two, 1 and 2, probably Xander, and then Bryson. If we're looking at all these guys that are above 11K, what's the split? What's the difference? You know, I could see the lowest guy being 18, and it probably is going to be Bryson. So it wouldn't shock me if he's the lowest out of this group, but it's still just too easy to play these guys. The ownership's going to be there. And the reason the ownership is there, because it's easy to play multiple of these guys. When we don't have the 5K range, it's very hard to play multiple of these guys in the same lineup. When you do have the 5K range, it's very possible. You know, just plugging in Xander and Rory, you got 6,800. Just play one of the play a 6K guy. There's viable guys all over the place. You're now back to 7,100, and there's a ton of good dudes there. You talk about Sungjae at 69. There's a bunch of guys in that range. The fact that you can play 2 of these guys in the same lineup just makes all their ownerships go way up. We've been having this conversation basically all season long since they've introduced this 5K range. If you're doing the 5K range, DraftKings, please put these guys over 13K and then the next tier at 12K. Make a decision. Make us make a decision. I get it for the major. They want to fill these contests, but it's just so bad for roster construction. The best golfers just automatically get the big time ownership, and that's what we're going to see this week.
I'm arguing the opposite of you this week, then. That's what I'm saying, only because I actually think the pricing has made that happen. That's why there's a potential for Scotty getting capped versus what we've seen in the past. And what it's actually done, I think, this week is made it so that it's spread almost everything out except for Sungjae at 69.
But that's because it's a major, though, and we have all the best golfers. Like That's because this is the strongest field. That's the only reason. It's not because of the pricing that this is happening. It's because it's a major and we have this loaded field.
Yes, but to your point of what you made earlier about the 5K range bringing more into the 6K, yes, okay, Sungjae and Scott. Sungjae's been playing incredible. Side note, besides the majors, Scott almost won last week, but pricing was already out. What could they do? How often do I get flack for Adam Scott? And then he almost goes and wins the event to the Adam Scott-ish Open winner, and it did not happen. So it was even better. It was Bobby McIntyre. Your boy Bobby Mac is back. But just to note it's like there's so many ways to go here. And I would not bring up the Bryson thing just to move off this top in a second. But if it was like 3 or 4%, I actually think we got to I think a lot of people talk about Bryson, and maybe they don't be about him. And what I mean by that is I actually think we could see a 10% delta. Like I think that by the time tomorrow night hits, people go, really? Scotty's going to be 25? Nope, not letting that happen. Let me jam Scotty in 50%. Okay, now he gets the boost. Or people were already locking Rory or all in on him. Xander's definitely getting played. I think you could see where Bryson is 16 and these guys are 26 to 28. And then I'm not saying that makes him the play. I'm saying I just want to note that up top that I definitely think people might be mentioning Bryson but I just don't know if they're going to completely be about him when it comes down to clicking the button tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Also, quick note, if it does become a PM AM push overnight and into tomorrow evening, Bryson and Rory are AM PM versus Scotty and Xander are PM AM. So if people do go that route, we'll see. But just to note it, like that could be a thing as well.
Yeah, we'll see. The one thing that's working against that narrative is the fact that you don't get to play Bryson almost every week. We only have the opportunity to play him at these majors. Are people excited just to click that name because you don't get to do it as often as the other guys? That's one thing that could work against that. But I do agree that I think of all these guys up here, he's the one that comes in the lowest. It's just a matter of what the number ends up being. Yeah,
and I'll also add the caveat again. We'll wait and see tomorrow night. Rahm is definitely nice here at 10-4. Just if you believe in the long-term talent, obviously he's been horrible at the majors this year, but he's actually played good. I know it's live events and whatever you want to give credit for or not. I don't care about that stuff. I'm just letting you know that at 10-4 and you could start your lineup with him. Maybe that is a 10-4, right? You know, you got that one. So you can put him into your lineups at 10-4. Nobody's going to get there, you know, at the end of it because Ludwig is there, Morikawa is there, and then Hatton, Fleetwood, all the guys below, all the dudes above. So no, he's the guy that we know for a fact. Yeah. Just can't get it there. So I got to add that in as well. Anything you want to add on Ludwig, Morikawa? If not, take us into the other 9K guys below Morikawa because we know what he is. Let's talk about Hovland down to Koepka.
Yeah, the problem with Rahm, he's 10-4 and he should be like 8-4. All right, like he's lost up here, and he is. Yeah, it's not good for him. I think I get the ownership thing, but he's just not very good anymore. He's messed up. Morikawa obviously going to be very highly owned, 9-9. Like you said, just fits all the bills. Like you can do anything with him. You can play him with Scotty. You can play him with Rory. You can play him with all those guys up top. A lot of people like going balanced. You can start with him. Just a lot. You can play him in any sort of roster construction, stars and scrubs, balance, semi-stars and scrubs, semi-balance, you know, whatever it may be. He fits in all of them. Been playing some incredible golf. He'll be, you know, I think he could contend with some of those guys up top in terms of ownership. Someone mentioned it in there. Andrew, I believe, it's going to be the highest owned on the slate. I wouldn't be surprised if he got up there, you know, upper 20s. I don't know what it's projected at right now. I haven't dug super deep. Yeah, he's shown to be like a little less than those guys. I think you get up there with those guys. Because if you come down here, like he's just so much better than everyone in this 9K range. People like Ludwig, but you have Rahm there. They're not going to like him. It just fits everything with Morikawa. Hovland, haven't been playing any of Hovland. I think Hovland's a classic situation. If you've been trying to get him right and you've been playing him, stay on that train because he could probably flip the switch at any point. If you've been fading him, I think you just stay off him. I've been fading him. I will stay off him. It's very easy for me. 9,700. He's another guy that, you know, could easily, he belongs in like the 8K range because he sucks recently. Hatton, Fleetwood, I think makes sense. Cantlay, very interesting at 91. Haven't seen him since the Travelers, but he finished 5th. Prior to that, 3rd at the U.S. Open, 91. Very fair price tag for him. And then Brooks is a little bit, I guess, surprised by the price tag because I guess, you know, all these majors, he's been up in that top tier. Now he's way down here at 9K. It's like him and Bryson have kind of flipped spots where, you know, Bryson's the one that's in that top tier now and Brooks is down here. The results at the majors haven't been great. You know, he's supposed to be this big game hunter and he hasn't been doing much hunting in the big games recently. So at 9K, yeah, I might take some stabs on him, but, you know, Morikawa clearly stands out. You know, Cantlay at 9-1, I think definitely stands out. So those are two guys I'll definitely be looking at in this range.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to play Morikawa, Hatton, Fleetwood, and mix even all three of them, but at least two of them. We talked about the Morikawa thing enough, so I'll move off that one. But I think there is the leverage guys in here like Hovland. You know, he's shown up at other opens, and I think it's because like a lot of what we talk about with him, his biggest problem is always the around the green stuff, and you don't always have to have that in a link style course. So I think he's a fine guy at 9,700 that you could go to. I think the guys at the bottom are interesting though, like Cantlay and Koepka. You know, 91 and 9,000. That's sort of, you know, just a savings, right? When you look at what you're looking at up top and going down to them, it's just such a discount. So when people are going balanced, I think they're trying to get Morikawa and one of Hatton and Fleetwood, or they're just starting with Hatton and Fleetwood, or they think they're getting aggressive by going Kawa, Fleetwood, Hatton, and then we're still playing those upper 6K guys. So it's like you do have a unique build because you're skipping the 5-figure guys, the 7K guys, etc. But the chalk isn't the 7K guys this week as much as it is the Sungjae, Scotts, Henleys, Louis down low that you may want to end in the 7s as a way to get different. And I'll talk about all that and more under the roster construction thoughts in the slate plan over on ShipItNation.com. But just to say it, the guys down low that are below Fleetwood, Hatton, Morikawa are Cantlay and Brooks. And I think they're the more interesting options there. And then even then, as we segue into the 8K soup, we've got Finau and Matsuyama where people are looking to land on top of Tom Kim. I do think the 8K range gets a little bit more squeezed, like as usual at these things where it's like, even if you say, well, no, I hear everyone's playing Finau, I think it's like 14 or 15%. I mean, we'll see, but it just feels like that with him and Hideki and those guys, because if you're playing Morikawa as much as you are, if Hatton's getting steamed up with Fleetwood, if all those guys at the top are getting played and you have 6K guys to make them work, you're not always having to land in here. So while that may be your one landing spot or two, if you're playing two of them, it is going to be those two of those three guys, Finau, Matsuyama, and Tom Kim. I still think they end up being held in check. Just obviously they'll be higher owned than like Cam Smith and Matt Fitzpatrick and guys like that. So what's your take on this 8K range?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Cam Smith at 89, and I don't know. Again, kind of similar to like Hovland with me. Like, if you've been playing him in these majors, maybe stick with him. If you haven't been playing him, I think it's fine to stay off. I haven't been playing him, so I'll be staying off. Finau at 8.7 has been playing some great golf. I do like him. I don't think the ownership is going to be, the one thing that I feel pretty confident about this week in terms of ownership is like roster construction is just begging you to go stars and scrubs in some way, shape, or form. It's begging you to play at least one guy up top, maybe two. It's begging you to pair that guy up top with a guy like Morikawa. So I think everyone in the 8K could get squeezed just because, man, like you can go to Sungjae and Adam Scott like you talked about, and then just get whatever the hell you want, and it's just going to force everything to the top. So yes, people are going to talk about Tony Finau, but are they really going to, click them at a high rate? I just think all these guys have to be kept in check. So I do like Finau, Matsuyama, not a ton, Tom Kim, not super excited. I do like Lowry at 82. I think it's a good spot for him. And then Wyndham, kind of similar to last week. I didn't love him, but I played him because of the price. And I think I'll just do the same this week. I don't necessarily love him, but at 8K, like we saw it in round 4 last week, he can just get hot and make a ton of birdies. When you're giving me a guy like him under the average spot of a roster spot on DK, the average price of a roster spot on DK, like I'll take it with Wyndham. Fitzpatrick has been a disaster. I feel really good staying off of him. So it's like Finau, Lowry, Wyndham are the ones that kind of stand out to me in this 8K range. But I do think all of them have a chance to go very low owned because of the way we're being pushed in terms of roster construction.
Yeah, one of the things I always wonder, though, is like the Wyndham round, because we've looked at this enough, and then you do like a deep dive on it. So we say, like, what is there a glimmer of hope when a guy gets hot like that on a round 4, and then he just sticks with it? But the one thing about Wyndham that I look at, I know some will look right away at the 4 strokes gained putting. That's just part of it, but it's actually more of a product of how he got there. And there was like 7 spike holes, and then there was like 5 holes where he got crushed on approach. So clearly to me, what Wyndham Clark was doing was just he's completely out of it on Sunday, or for the most part. I know he ended up getting a T10 that looks good on paper, but he was out of it. He fired at pins. It worked on a bunch. It didn't work on others, but he could save par. It wasn't extremely hard conditions or anything like that. Will he have that same mentality coming into this week and just firing away, or was it more of a product of him being out of it? So just on a deep dive, rather look at it from that angle, but I definitely don't hate it. Another thing I'm noticing, Hoop, just because we talk way more about this than we do the picks and the plays, or the course setup, or this, that, and the other. Like, it's all important stuff and part of the puzzle, but I care way more about beating the field we're up against. And Rory, AM, PM. Hatton, Fleetwood, both AM, PM. Tony Finau, AM. Tom Kim, AM. Haven't got to the 7s, so we'll save that, but we'll jump ahead for the spoiler alerts. So what we already did talk about, Sungjae, AM. Henley, AM. Scott, AM. If you just want to go for carnage, and even if there isn't a weather advantage, you are going to be so different naturally just by going PM, AM on some of your stacks that it's just right there for you. It's sitting right in front of you. Almost all the chalk is AM, at least early on the books here. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like your call. The 8K range, the reason I brought that up, there's only 2 guys from 79 to 9,100 that are in the AM, PM wave, and it's Finau and Tom Kim. You can still play Cantlay at 9,100 and Brooks, who we talked about in that 9K range. You can play Cam Smith if you've been on him. Hideki Matsuyama, Lowry, who fits the bill and the trends and everything else and has a claret jug of his own. Fitzpatrick, Clark, whatever you want to do there. I'm just saying that those are all guys that you could fit in. So interesting to note. And then in the 7K range, let's move on to that now. There is only 18 golfers. And I guess like Neiman, Bobby Mack with the betting odds, Rye, Thigala, Noren, like Connors maybe steamed. But what are you seeing here in the 7K range right now? It's kind of like what you said, I think. Like, it doesn't seem as though a lot of people are landing in this range.
Yeah, and it just seems like this is the first range to me where you start to see maybe some of that sticker shock where it's like, man, these guys are this cheap. Like, this name is only, 70 whatever 100. I think this is the range where you start to see that. So I would anticipate that would make me believe that ownership is going to be high. But like you said, it's not necessarily showing up because everyone's just going to go to the 6K range where it gets even more extreme in terms of the pricing. But there's, viability here for sure. Neiman 78, Bobby Mack 77, incredible win last week for him. Brian Harmon, won the Open last year, 7,600, should be a nice setup for him. Cam Young starting to play pretty solid. However, the Cam Young thing, I'd be a little cautious. Like the T6 at the Rocket Mortgage, I mean, he was like the only viable golf. I mean, there was not many good golfers at the Rocket Mortgage, and we can attest to that because we were there in person. But the T6 there is not great. 7,500 for Cam Young. What do you do? Min Woo, we were just paying 9,400 for him last week. Now he's 74. Justin Thomas, 7,400. Max Homa has been a disaster, 73. But then you get down to the bottom, I think, of this range, and you got Corey Connors at 73. Like, I guess I just don't get that price tag. Like, he's been good all season long, very consistent, top 20 machine. Now he's like probably like the 30th most expensive guy on the slate. Like, people are going to like him. People are going to like Rye. People are going to like Thigala. Dustin Johnson has been bad, 7,100. So I don't know. I think like Connors, Rye, Thigala are the names that people go to here. So maybe the top tier gets overlooked a little bit. There's a lot of names here. There's a lot of names, a lot of guys that you don't typically see in the 7K range. But like Corey Connors at 7,300 just stands out as an extreme value to me. I've continued to try the Max Homa thing. I'm just done. I'm calling it quits. Like he's been a disaster. Will's out there. No, it's not going to be major max week, no. But there's names here. I mean, there's definitely names, but I think a lot of the ownership goes to the lower range with guys like Connors, Rye, Thigala.
Yeah, this is the interesting note. I know he's not even in it, so who gives a shit? But just to say, like, he almost qualified, right? Justin Rose got in, and Sergio was close, blew up a little bit on his cue. But, yeah, he was playing good enough that he goes on to then get a win in a playoff. Anirban Lahiri, missed like a 2-foot putt to force a playoff. This also, man, like, just take a hike. Like, I don't care if you're 4 against Cam Young. This is the worst to me when people do this. It's like 2nd and 8th. What happened here? Where's his results? 2nd, which was like the eagle when Rory had to go for it at St. Andrews, and that's what bumped him up again. And like, where's Cam Young? 7,500 this week? Oh, he loves it here. It's not even the same course, first of all, not even close. Second of all, it's 2 results. Like you said, he blew the Rocket Mortgage. Like, guys like it until they don't. You're taking a 2-year sample size. You go back, Adam Scott loved it here back in 2014 and 15 when he came 5th and 10th. You know what happened after that? 43rd, 22nd, 17th, missed cut, 46th, 15th. It's not even the same course. So it's like that to me is just, great course history, great event history of what? Sample size 2? Like, we got to just stop doing that. Play the game, play DFS, stop worrying about that. That's just content, talking pieces. I use it. We all use it. It's just a note to make something, but it's like in talking about it, don't use that as your be-all, end-all or why you land on a guy as even a tiebreaker. Like, it's not even the same place, right? It's not even anything the same. So keep going here. Like you mentioned, I think the guys that do pick up the steam, Rye, Connors, Thigala, Noren, definitely all those guys. So that would leave Sam Burns, who could be pretty interesting, 7,200. I wouldn't have a problem clicking him. I think course fit rankings like Dustin Johnson, but it's supposed to be course fit rankings are when they're playing their A game. I don't think we've got the Dustin Johnson A game anytime recently, so I wouldn't love it for that. But I would just say, you're getting a $7,100 guy. It's like, what can you find with him? Sepp Straka, I'm actually not sure that people are going to go back to him. And I would say that if the other guy that I could see get steamed here is Akshay Bhatia, you had another lefty win the Claret Jug last year, Brian Harman. Maybe people just look at his talent, how good he's been, and how close he's been on lots of stuff where they go to him at 7K. So Straka, Sam Burns, couple guys down low that could be left alone. And then I guess Spieth at the top. It would just be, I can hear our guy James right now in my ear, Degenerate 75. You play Spieth when nobody's playing him. And this would be a little bit different, I guess. Like I would look at it more from this perspective, but let me see.
Let me just make it simple for our crew. Don't play Spieth. I don't care who's playing him, who's not playing him. This week, we're not playing Spieth. Let's keep it simple.
He's been so bad all year. That's what I mean. So it's yes. One of those things that just hasn't shown up even where he has shown up. But 7,900, I mean, it's, again, lots of other options there you can click instead. I just don't think anybody's playing him when there's other options around him. So talent-wise, if you're looking long-term, Spieth, DJ, some of those guys, but, you can easily move off. The upper 6K range hoop is where the conversation is going to be had here. What do you do with Sungjae? What do you do with Adam Scott? Davis Thompson is there, who's been hot. Siwoo Kim had a nice round on Sunday. Maybe he was just firing at pins. I'm going to deep dive on him, actually, while you look into it. But what's your thoughts on this upper 6K range, knowing what we know?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as last week. We came on the show and you could go through and so many guys that you can play in the 6K range, so many viable options that look good on paper, which again is the reason why we're seeing all the guys up top in the 11K range get substantial ownership, because you're able to do it and still feel good about your lineups. Just so many guys in play. I mean, most disrespectful price tag on the slate, Sungjae M, $6,900. He's going to be very popular. He's going to be the most popular guy he's going to be the most popular guy probably outside of the top end golfers, like outside of like Scotty, Rory, Xander. He is going to be extremely popular at 69. He's been playing well. However, he has not played well at the majors. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open, missed the cut at the PGA Championship, missed the cut at the Masters. So he's missed the cut on all other three majors, but he's playing better now than he has all season long. He's going to be very popular at 69. Siwoo Kim, like you talked about, 6,800. Louis Oosthuizen, been playing well on Live, 6,800. His odds to win the event. So he's 6,800. His odds to win the event are 60-1. 60-1, and he's 6,800. Henley, Adam Scott will be very, very popular after the second place finish last week. He is 6,700. People love playing Benny on. Dean Burmeister, Keegan Bradley. The McKibben guy missed the cut on the number last week, I believe. Yeah, he was 2 under, missed it. He was 7K last week. He's 65. People feel good going back to him. Maroc, Denny McCarthy, JT Poston, Tom Hoagie, Hadwin, Eric Cole, Victor Perez. You keep going down. We get Chris Kirky at 61. You get Southgate, who's playable. Romain Langquist, or however you pronounce his name, 6K. McNeely, 6K. Glover, 6K. There's just so many guys that are viable option this week. It's going to be the same as last week. It's going to get spread out outside of Sungjae. Sungjae's going to get ownership. Adam Scott probably gets ownership. The rest of these guys, you don't have to be worried about ownership, because you know where most people are going to go to in this range. So, it's just a matter of how many of these guys you want to play. What do you want to do with your rosters? If you're coming down here frequently, you're going to be able to get a lot of exposure to the guys up top. And again, I said it a couple of times throughout the show where pricing is forcing us in a direction. Pricing is forcing us to play multiple 6K guys. And that's probably what a lot of the field ends up doing this week. We talk about it. Sometimes people are hesitant to play multiple 6K guys. Well, not when the 6K range looks like this. Most lineups are going to have 2 6K guys, which is that's why we're seeing the big ownership up top, because it's going to be easy to play those guys up top with all the options down here in the 6K range.
And that's why I said at the top of the show, like eventually people probably get to this thought. So Andrew brings a good thought back to the chat, is that's the one where, like I said, eventually people say, you know what? It looks like people, because like Hoop said, it's a major. The pricing's still, soft enough that you have these guys like Im and Scott and all these guys where people just say, you know what? If I want Rory, I can play him. If I want Rory and Cal, I can play them. It's like they can get to all the dudes. So if as people find out that one guy is being left alone more than he should be, to me, that's going to be Scotty. When they come around on that thought, that's going to boost from Scotty and take away from somebody else. To me, it's going to take away from Bryson. Tim, we appreciate you. Got to quote your sources. Shout out to our guy, Ron Kloss. I knew at the minute you put up 39 rounds, but this is another take. Okay. 39 rounds. Even if you want to call that a good sample, then play him. But don't tell me I'm playing Akshay because these wins. Okay. You better be playing John Rahm, who has almost double his rounds and almost just as good in the wind. You better be playing Jordan Spieth, who has 107 rounds and is right behind them. You better get in on Jason Day, 134 rounds and is right up there with them. So again, people picking and choosing their spots for these things. Play DFS. We're not playing the best win guy, the best this, the best that. Like we got to play the game that we're up against. And so if you're doing that, you should be building stack lineups like that. If that's what you're thinking, like go ahead and play all those guys. And then when one of them gets blown away in the wind instead of plays well in the wind, your lineups get blown away too. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. This would be a way to do it. That's what we should have done with JT last week when Hoop had the business decision. We should have said, you know what, let's give him a shot. One round, he does or he does not. Let's do that and see. And we didn't have a keeper cut. We got a mid-range of a first look and a main. So we didn't bring that into the mix, but I will just say
it'll be back.
It'll be back. Shout out to Black Mask Media, always here supporting. Appreciate it.
That's a good. That is. I do like that. I do like that statement from DeGen. It does make sense. That guy ended up being like what 20% owned. It was a crazy number.
Yeah. What was the exact? I like how he called it "play your own turd."
Yeah, I love that.
Turd, but
I love that.
Man, someone should say what it actually was. It's more funny. I know it's a little more vulgar, but what was it like? Find your own piece of shit, not somebody else's. It was such a good one, but it was very good. I think
that'd make for a good T-shirt, whatever the actual saying is.
Whatever the actual saying is, that's good. Delbert called it out too. This is another one. I think I'll call this. Maybe James has it on the stream tomorrow night. You could see some late steam on Louis O. There's a lot of
60 to 1 on DraftKings. Yeah, 60 to 1. I mean, 6,800. I mean, it's a crazy number.
I think it was 150 or something, but no one can remember it. It wasn't that. Pick your own.
Play your own dickhead. No.
It's not. It's not in there. You still don't have it. You know me, Jordan. I'm always trying to keep it clean on these shows. So I was trying to look for that one. Let's see this guy, Mr. Awaken Up says, here's a narrative. Since a live golfer won the last major, now it'll be Rory's this. Like, what is going on? Like, come on, guys. It's just not going to be that. Play your own slapdick. There it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Not somebody else. It's such a good saying.
I kind of like the turd. I like the turd version a little better.
Yeah, they both sound good. It's just more comical that is the truth. And it's just meaning like you're never going to get someone all to yourself, but getting 24% Tom McKibben versus, a 3% or a 4% somebody else that just goes off. That's kind of the take where even if he had that, even if you had him and he did get it right, would it have really meant anything? It's hard to say. I don't know if there's anything else down here I had to bring up. I was just trying to look at other angles, but pretty spread out down here, Hoop. Like, a lot of options, a lot of different ways you can go. Do you have a Tiger Woods take? You've been off Spieth, you've been off Hovland, you've been off all these other talents that have been good in the past.
I'm so sick of the quotes, like I love Tiger, obviously, and what he's done is great, but I'm just so sick of like the quotes from him. Like every single major, I think I can go out and win. His ass knows he can't go out and win. Like he knows he can't. Like just be honest. Like I get it from a competitive standpoint. You got to say that shit, but I'm so sick of it all. I'm just like I'm over it. Like I'm over it. It's over. He's done. He should retire from golf. Honestly, he should just be done at this point. Hang it up. I mean, it's just every major. It's the same thing. The quotes are the exact same. Like. He ain't doing it no more. It's done. He ain't coming back. It's over.
Hoop Montgomery over here, guys. We got Hoop Montgomery, Colin's cousin. Colin Montgomery tried to say that, and Tiger told him where to go. Man, he said
he's got the receipts to back it up. Like he can't get the job done anymore. Let's just wrap that up.
He's wrap it up. 230 to make the cut.
You want those 230 to make the cut.
You think Tiger can make the cut here? Because this is the other thing. Good timing to show off the NFL again. NFL is coming back. We'll note it one more time. Get in on the early bird special because the thing with this Hoop, this is like football 2.0. Every major, Tiger looks good. He's in the best shape of his life. He looks slimmer.
It's like NFL training. It's NFL training camp. That's what it's NFL training. Yes.
Yeah. There's another note. The initial stone and the projections are out. So if you were looking to get started, and yeah, Tim, it does look like he dropped some weight for sure. I mean, hopefully he does well. We all want to see Tiger do well. It's awesome when he's in the mix. I won't be getting involved in the DFS streets, but just a note, he's there. Glover was one guy that stood out. I guess Glover, McNeely, Griot, and Griffin, sort of that four. I guess is it Triple G? Glover, Griot, Griffin. Yeah, the Triple G squad down there looks all right in that range. After that, I don't see too much that I'm reaching for. Again, some of these guys may trickle in, but I'm really one more to take stands when I get down there, where if I'm playing somebody, I want to have enough of them to make it work up top. But it could switch. The one time it does change, someone asked me about this, and I always talk about it in our Discord. We've talked about it on our course. The education course, of course, comes free when you sign up at SHIPIT Nation. But just to note, like, if I'm going heavy, if I'm going 70% on a guy up top, then I'm more likely to let somebody trickle in, because now I have so many versions that involve my week on that guy anyway. Let's say I have 70% Morikawa. Well, if I'm already that invested and it comes down to what Morikawa does pretty much for my week, then I do kind of want more guys down low to trickle in, because I'm clearly taking my stand up top. But if I'm not doing that and I'm playing a more balanced portfolio, then I'm looking to get enough of these guys down low that they can all mix together and go that way. So just a note on that, I would bring that point up as well. Hoop, any other final thoughts, strategy bits, anything else you want to talk about before we do the final stuff here?
The last guy in this 5K range that people are talking about, and I know there's been a couple comments in the chat.
Manacero, what are you doing with him? I know a lot of people want to be on him. What did he finish last week? He was T15 last week, but he's a name a lot of people are bringing up at 54.
Yeah, I think the round 1 and 2 last week, right, is what people are looking at. Obviously, the weekend did not go very well for him. He had 5 birdies the entire weekend after putting up 8 on Friday alone. And then on Thursday, he had 6 birdies and an eagle. So, I mean, it's a tale of two separate rounds, right? The Thursday, Friday versus the weekend. So not too sure that I'll land on him very much. I think that's just like a chase scenario. But one guy I was going to look up was Siwoo Kim. He actually did the same thing I said about Clark on Sunday. So just a note on him, like he had 5 or
62.
Yeah, he went super low, but I'm saying it was the same thing. He was just firing away at these pins. Like there was 3 or 4 holes he was way off, and there was 5 or 6 that he was dialed in and just nailed it, and then obviously went and made his stuff. So I can't see, I mean, just being open here, I don't see a lot of these guys that I end up getting to. Like I don't see a lot under. I don't see very, very much at all in the 5K. Maybe some Ben Griffin.
Seems like a substantial difference in talent from the 6K down to the 5. I mean, there's legit dudes in the 6K range. You come down here, it thins out pretty quick. Nick Taylor, I don't mind playing him at 59. He's another name. But man, it does not look good. Someone mentioned Campillo. He finished 26 last week. Yeah, don't hate that at 55. Maybe he's the pivot off Manacero, who more people would get to, I think, in that situation.
Yeah, a lot of these coming up. No EVR in the field, so Rin not even in the CUDA anymore. He was the tournament favorite and WD'd, but our guy Rin brings up Campillo. We got PGA Daily says Catlin, John Catlin. We've got who else did we got? Manacero came up again. I'll talk about this in a second, but Ewan Ferguson, Guido. All these guys that are getting brought up, Jesper Svensson, yeah, let's get in on that action. I think he was all right. Marcel Siem, like these guys, if you're mentioning them and you got that gut feel, last week for me, it was our guy, Romain Langesque. Jenner let us up, and he ended up crushing, but that was the guy I had a gut feel on. I still didn't listen to my own stuff. So do as I say, not as I do. I didn't put him in my mains, and I thought, like, if I just put him in a main lineup where I can get everybody else in, he was the guy I was thinking about. So if you guys have that type of feeling on somebody, I think you should definitely pile them into your lineups and get enough of them that it matters, or play them in a spot that it matters, and then do everything else with that. And then just some talks on like the soft pricing and leaving cash on the table. I will say this, I'm not looking to leave thousands or anything, but if you're in the $25 Millie Maker or that $5 massive lottery, 49.9 as a cap or something, or 49.8 as a cap, you're going to be fine. Like, I just don't see a world where it's absolutely necessary that the exact 50K lineup hits that is optimal, that you need, that wins the tournament. So to get unique in those, you're definitely going to want to leave some money, even if you're not forcing it, but just to make it make sense, where you're not going to be duping with a lot of other people. And actually, I want to look at this for 2 seconds. This is interesting. Just got brought up. Nick brought up Sharma.
Yeah.
He's your guy. And the running man, too, said Sharma made me some money on Showdown. He was the guy that I looked up when I was doing some of these comparisons. Slow and steady. A T39 may not be for everybody, but at his price, it does quite a lot. And he had, 4 birdies on an eagle on Friday. He had 6 birdies on Saturday. He had 9 birdies or something on Sunday, and it was all equal across the board. It was not just a case of a guy sitting there firing at pins. He was just playing the golf he plays, playing as the course set up, play it as it lies type thing. Like, he's just doing his own thing and had a pretty decent week. A T39 is not game-changing, but it's very solid for that type of price tag. And, this week gets a small bump, I think, but maybe not even really. I think he's still, only 5,900. So if you want to go to him, I would have no problem with it. But at least a guy, when you do the deeper, dig deeper and do a deep dive, you'll find that it wasn't just that one final round going out firing away at pins. It was everything leading up to it. And then it all kind of clicked in that final round. So I actually think that's a bit interesting as well. And then, Austin Eckroat was another one that stood out. I'll just check it quickly.
I don't mind playing him.
He missed the cut, but he was pretty fine in round 1 beyond a couple of holes there. And then in round
He missed it on the number. So, he was right there.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Realistically, some of that he probably heads over right away and starts getting some more practice in and stays sharp and does all that. So I don't hate somebody like that.
Mackenzie Hughes, I don't hate. I'm just searching for some names here. Valimaki screwed a bunch of people last week. Missed it on the number. He was right at that 2 under. He's 56. Someone mentioned Zach Johnson. Like, I'll never be on Zach Johnson, so that's an easy no for me. But once you start getting down below the mid 5s, I've never even heard of these dudes down here, to be honest with you.
Are you going back to your guy, Matthew Jordan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was all you too, by the way. He was on my best team. Matthew Jordan, 58. Yep, I'll be right back on him. 100%.
He could not hit an iron in round 4. My goodness. Yeah. Talk about maybe he was just trying to fire at pins. If that was the case, it did not go well.
Didn't work. It didn't work very well.
13 holes where he just completely screwed it up. So,
yeah,
I like Vic Perez. I like Romaine again. I like, we talked about Sharma a second ago. Like, some of those guys, if I'm going there, would be the ones to make it. And then Southgate was the only other one that we'll look at here. I think he missed the cut as well. He shot even, but didn't really do too much. But I think in general, just keeping an eye on that type of stuff is definitely the way to go. Anything else you want to add there, Hoop, or good to roll?
Yeah, good to roll. We can hit on this promo again, man. Now is the time. We talked about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
I was saying, if you want to get in, now is the time. Like the Open, people are setting up to sign up for that. You can actually use this towards the Open, and you'll get everything for free, all access completely. So if you're going to sign up with us for NFL anyway, you can see what the other sites charge. $425, $569 with an optimizer, $1082 with an optimizer, $1109 with an optimizer. We're $299. It includes the optimizer. All the college football content will be free as well. On top of all access leading up, we did extend it. So who brought that up? I'll just go back real quick and said, you know what? Let's just move it along. Who cares? We'll include it anyway. So just to show you guys one last time before we get out of here, the promos here, it auto locks into the $299. You'll immediately be coded properly to get all access to the entire site. So everything for PGA, including Showdown, all the MLB stuff as it gets back from the All-Star break, MMA, an event this weekend and then beyond, all the college football when it comes out. I believe it starts August 24th. I think that's week 0. And then all the NASCAR along the way as well. On top of that, you get the education courses, which, spoiler alert, you can try all of them. But on top of it, MMA is going to be coming out here pretty quick as well. So our guys Marley and Title put it together, and I'm going to formulate that up so that you guys have the MMA course also. So it's going to be another good one, over an hour of action-packed strategy talk process, breaking it all down so that if you want to jump into the game, you can come into it without just being a complete degenerate and firing away. You got all the content and you got the education to go with it to kind of know what you're doing. And then, of course, the Discord is there for you to be able to talk with everyone as well.
Yep. Appreciate the kind words from our guy, Black Mass Media. He was with us all NFL season. He was there for basically all the shows, so he knows what's up. And this deal right here, it's one of those deals where the earlier you sign up, the more value you get out of it. So you sign up today, you get everything for free leading up to NFL. If you wait 2 weeks, you're missing out on this 2-week period of potential free. So if you know you're going to be with us for NFL season, which we anticipate a lot of you will be, now's the time because you're getting more value out of it. The earlier you sign up, the more value this package provides for you. So it's very simple.
Yeah, don't hate it. Burns around 1 liter, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, it's all right here. We extended it. We are going to honor it. It expires August 5th. So you can get in now. You save the $50. You get the college football free all season. You get the free all access. The sooner you sign up, the sooner you get into the all access and you get in the Discord. Check it all out. So go to shipitnation.com. You don't need to use any code or anything. You just click the $2.99 link and you're good to go. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Final major of the season. Truly excited for this one. Set your alarms. Be in there, ready to go. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.